everyone, Jason Gilbo here at DFC. You can follow me on Twitter at jgilbo11, JGUILBAULT11. Taking a look at cash game and GPP quarterbacks this week for week 8. Also have a value call that we're looking at. Overall, when you look at this week, I think there's a fair amount of high-scoring games in place. You look at, obviously, New Orleans is going to be a popular place for quarterbacks. Even with Seattle's tough secondary, we can talk about Drew Brees a little bit. Cashing quarterbacks, Russell Wilson, 7,200. You're looking at a near 26 team total. Our projections have him right around 19 points. I think that's a pretty safe floor for him, and obviously there is some upside going up against this New Orleans team that allows the 5th most DK points per game this season. They're allowing 11.6 yards per completion, nearly 290 yards per game. Russell Wilson's been pretty up and down. Obviously, that last good game that he had was against the Jets. He looked pretty well on the road, even coming off the bum ankle. Has Jimmy Graham, has Doug Baldwin, has a lot of weapons he can look at. I do like him this week. Must play, not really. I mean, I know we do like to look at quarterbacks and go, oh, they're must play in New Orleans, but I do like him as a top cash game option. You can feel pretty safe about using him just against this dreadful Saints secondary. Matt Ryan, next one here, 7K, taking on a Packers defense that's really banged up. No Sam Shields. Their other two corners are done, so they're basically playing an entire backup secondary. So obviously with Matt Ryan and what he's been doing this season, I think he's a pretty safe bet to score, basically 250, 300, yards and 2 touchdowns, and obviously with room for more. You got Julio Jones, who's looking like his usual self again. You're also looking at, a Matt Ryan that's playing really well. I think in terms of quarterback play, he's been one of the stabler options, especially here at home, especially when these totals get up there. And with Devonta Freeman, Mohamed Sanu, Jacob Tamme, all these guys around him, he's played quite well, and Julio Jones looks healthy. Ryan's averaging 13.5 yards per completion. That is a league lead. Green Bay is allowing 12.1, which is the 5th worst. So I'm taking this one. The loss of Tevin Coleman, obviously Devonta Freeman's going to become a heavy workload back again. I just think Matt Ryan's going to be throwing the ball quite a bit. I can see this one kind of turn into a back and forth affair. GPP quarterbacks, I'm staying in that game looking at Aaron Rodgers. So this week I do like Randall Cobb. I do like Devontae Adams, Ty Montgomery. I do like that way of getting exposure to this game through Aaron Rodgers and through the receivers. You don't have to necessarily go with Rodgers to still get a piece of this. You can use guys like Cobb. But I think putting together the complete package in terms of a stack this week, I like Green Bay. Small underdogs here on the road. We're looking at a secondary that I do like some of the talent there. I do like Desmond Trufant. I do like Poole as a slot corner. I'm also looking at Randall Cobb and what the volume has been like over the last few weeks, and it's been very high, double-digit targets in the last 3 weeks, playing really well. No run game here. I know Niall Davis is expected to get involved, but still no Eddie Lacy. Obviously, no James Starks. Those guys, are going to be out for quite some time. Jordy Nelson hasn't really looked like himself outside of the one game against Detroit. But you look at Atlanta here, allowing the 4th most DK points per game, 22. I like Rodgers just as a swerve away from Ryan and Wilson this week. I think you can pair him up with some of those wideouts, especially with some of those cheap backs that emerged. Devontae Booker, who's going to, get a heavy workload with the CJ Anderson news. So I do like him quite a bit. And also look for what it's worth. Obviously, this is over a long sample size, but Rodgers has averaged 29 DK points in 4 career starts against Atlanta. Looked pretty good against the Chicago secondary. That's really, no real threat to the Falcons in terms of comparison, but still, it was nice to see him kind of get on the right foot. I also highlight Andrew Luck in just a little note here in the article, which you can go read on dailyfantasycafe.com. But I like Hilton Stack, Jack Doyle, Dante Moncrief if he's back. I don't mind that here against the Chiefs, especially with the Colts being at home. I talked about in the defense pod possibly using the Chiefs as a really kind of contrarian move against the Colts, because we're looking at a Colts team that has gaining a little bit of momentum in terms of ownership coming into Sunday, and I do like Andrew Luck. I do like that stack. The offensive line's been horrible, but so has the defensive pressure for the Chiefs. So it's going to be a matter of who can step up. If the Chiefs do get some pressure on Luck, then you know what, Luck will have a little bit of a rough day. If there's protection, we've obviously seen Luck when he's get the protection. He's going for 300 yards and 3 touchdowns. So I like the risk here. He's a little bit cheaper than some of those other options named already. So I do think you can move with him. Jameis Winston, another one I'm looking at, 5,700. At home against the Raiders. You look at the Raiders, they're allowing the most passing yards per game. Winston's throwing nearly 40 times per game, coming off a really nice performance against San Francisco, 300 yards, 3 touchdowns. So I do like him here. Oakland's allowing 22 DK points per game against quarterbacks, allowing nearly 12.7 yards per completion. Mike Evans, obviously a great pairing option with Winston. I don't mind them in GPPs. Mike Evans is cash game playable for me. Oakland's been playing a little bit better, but I do like Winston still here at this price to really roll through and play pretty well. But I think there still is a floor that I'm not quite comfortable rostering him with. I think the borderline cash gameplay for me is where I'm going to land on him if he fits, if you're using a lot of, expensive options. At wide receiver, you're getting Julio Jones and you're getting a high price running back in there. I don't mind Winston. So it's just a matter of roster construction. I can see it either or. If you want to make a swerve and still kind of stay in the value range, Derek Carr, 5,900 on the road at the Bucs, who are not a great secondary. Tampa Bay allowing over a 90 passer rating to quarterbacks this season, 12.7 yards per completion. Carr's home road splits. Carr's been very well on the road, over the last year and a half, averaging 240 yards per game, 2 touchdowns apiece. Look at 98 passer rating compared to 88 at home. So he's intriguing. I think he's going to steal some ownership, Winston's going to steal some ownership away from Carr. And I think, Carr's been pretty pedestrian of late because we've seen Latavius Murray snatch up 2 red zone touchdowns last week. We've seen Janikowski. They haven't quite closed off the drive. So I still think Carr has that 300-yard, 3-touchdown ceiling. I think he's a nice guy to pair up with a Crabtree, pair up with a Cooper. You can certainly look those guys' way. I do like them quite a bit. If you're going for kind of a high-risk value play in GPPs, I don't mind Ryan Fitzpatrick as well. He's an honorable mention. Obviously, Tom Brady going to get a Buffalo team that, just shut them out. Obviously, there was no Brady. You can look to play him as well. So a lot of different quarterback options this week. If you want to check out our cheat sheets, check out our optimizer at Daily Fantasy Cafe. Be sure to head on over there and give them a look. As we roll in through about the halfway point, so things have kind of stabilized in terms of, who's really good, who's bad this year. So, things are a lot clearer as the season goes on. So that's going to wrap things up. Be sure to check out dailyfantasycafe.com for all our great tools and content.